Welcome back to a brand new episode on the Disturbing Reel. I'm your host, Sensory Stowers. Now, today's episode is a special one. It's a last minute one, but a very, very special one. Because I'm finally talking about my absolute favourite horror movie of 2025, Good Boy. And more specifically, the breakout star of the entire film, Indy the dog. Now, I've watched a lot of horror this year. Psychological horror, slow burns, gore-heavy shock films, experimental indie projects, you name it. But Good Boy stayed with me in a way that very few films do. Not because it relied on cheap jump scares or over-the-top violence, but because it understood something far more unsettling: emotional attachment. At its core, Good Boy is a horror film built on trust, the bond between a man and his dog, and that's exactly why it works so well. We need to talk about Indy. Everybody's talking about Indy, but I want to also contribute to that. Indy is not just a dog in a horror movie. Indy is the emotional centre of the entire film. Every look, every pause, every shift in behaviour is deliberate. The performance feels instinctive, intelligent, and honestly, far more nuanced than many human performances I've seen in horror over the years. There are moments where Indy communicates fear without movement, moments where loyalty becomes heartbreaking, and moments where you, as the viewer, start to realise that this dog understands the danger long before the humans do. That awareness creates an unbearable tension because you trust Indy, and when Indy is unsettled, you are unsettled. What makes this even more impressive is that Indy isn't, there's no cheesy dog hero energy here. This is a grounded, realistic animal performance that feels completely natural, which is exactly why it's terrifying. Now, Indy's performance wouldn't work without the other half of the equation, his owner, who also plays the film's main character. The chemistry between them is extraordinary. You can tell this is a real bond, not something manufactured for the camera. Their interactions feel lived in, casual, safe, and that sense of safety is crucial because the film slowly dismantles it. The lead actor delivers a restrained, deeply human performance. There's no melodrama, no overacting or overreacting, just subtle shifts in tone, body language, and emotional control as the story darkens. His descent feels authentic, and watching Indy react to that change is where the film becomes genuinely disturbing. Now, there's a particular brilliance in how the film uses silence. Long stretches where nothing happens except everything is happening. A look from Indy, a hesitation, a refusal to enter a room. Horror fans know this technique well, but Good Boy execute it with precision. And here's the thing, the film respects its audience. It doesn't explain everything, it doesn't hold your hand, it trusts you to feel the dread rather than being told when to be scared. That confidence elevates the entire experience. But the time the film reaches its final act, you're no longer watching a horror story unfold. You're emotionally invested in protecting this dog. That emotional manipulation is intentional, and it's ruthless. When the credits roll, I didn't feel relieved, I felt hollow, and that, to me, is a mark of exceptional horror. Good Boy proves that horror doesn't need monsters with elaborate backstories or endless gore. Sometimes the scariest thing is watching a pure, loyal creature realize that something is very, very wrong and being powerless to stop it. Indy delivers one of the best performances of 2025, full stop. Not best animal performance, one of the best performances, period. If you haven't seen Good Boy yet, go into it blind. Don't read spoilers, don't watch breakdowns, just experience it. And pay attention to Indy. He tells you everything you need to know. The film is smart, it's unsettling, it's emotionally brutal, and for me it stands as my top horror movie of 2025. Before I wrap this part of the episode up, I want to be very clear about something. Good Boy isn't just one of the horror films I enjoyed this year. It is one of my favourite horror movies of 2025, full stop. It represents everything I love about intelligent, emotionally driven horror. Subtle, disturbing, uncomfortable in the best possible way. I'm going to be brutally honest with all of my listeners here. I am a massive dog lover. Now, this is one of the movies that I was on the edge of my seat all the way through. I remember looking at the time the film was in, and it was 53 minutes, and I was still on the edge of my seat watching this movie. I was in tears nearly a couple of times. But don't worry, I will give a little bit of a spoiler. Indy the dog does not get hurt. That was my issue going into this. I'm a huge dog lover. I love dogs with everything of my soul. And when this movie came out, I specifically did not watch this movie to begin with because I thought something was going to happen to Indy. But don't worry, nothing happens to Indy. I think it's more excruciating watching what Indy goes through than it would be to lose Indy in this movie. So keep that in mind going into this movie. It's a masterpiece with a four-legged friend is the main actor. Absolutely hats off. And it took 3 years to make this movie. So, due to the main guy's dedication to this movie and Indy's dedication, and the fact that this dog, Indy, has not had acting experience before, hats off to Indy. I would love to interview Indy, but unfortunately we'll just get a woof woof. But that is all I would want. So I would love to interview the main guy in this movie at some point in the future to ask about this movie. It's absolutely brilliant. But moving on from that, when it comes to extreme cinema, the kind of film that pushes boundaries, tests endurance, and refuses to play safe, there is one title that stands above the rest for me this year. Not of all time, this year. And my favourite extreme cinema movie of 2025 has to be, have you guessed it? Visceral, Between the Ropes of Madness. Now, this film is not an easy watch, and it's not meant to be. I'll tell you that much. Visceral leans fully into psychological and physical brutality, blending themes of madness, control, suffering, and identity through an unrelenting narrative. It feels oppressive by design. The sound design, the pacing, the imagery, everything works together to create an experience rather than just a story. This is not background viewing. Absolutely not. This is a sit down, lights off, brace yourself cinema. What I appreciate most about Visceral, Between the Ropes of Madness, is that it doesn't seek approval. It doesn't try to soften its message or make itself more accessible. It understands its audience and commits completely to its vision. That level of artistic confidence is rare, especially within extreme cinema. So for me, 2025 delivered two very different but equally powerful experiences. Good Boy, on one hand, my favourite horror movie of the year, emotionally devastating, subtle and deeply unsettling. And then Visceral, on the other hand, Between the Ropes of Madness, my top extreme cinema pick, confrontational, raw and uncompromising. If you enjoy that, if you enjoy horror that respects intelligence, the extreme cinema that refuses to dilute itself, both of these films deserve your attention. And I would say more so for Good Boy. It needs to be seen more. It needs more credit. And Indy needs more credit. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts on horror, extreme cinema, and films that push boundaries, you can follow me over on Instagram at Sensory Stowers. That's where I share reviews, reflections, and recommendations that don't always fit into the mainstream conversation. Before I close out today's episode, I want to take a moment to talk about something that's incredibly important to me, my mentorship work and the training I provide for submissives. Outside the film, horror, and extreme cinema, my work centres around structured, ethical mentorship for submissives who want guidance, clarity, and in-depth in their personal development and dynamics. What I do is not surface-level, trend-based content. It is intentional training focused on mindset, discipline, communication, boundaries, emotional intelligence, and personal accountability. My mentorship is about helping submissives understand themselves, their role and their power, not through fantasy, but through real-world application, reflection and structure. Everything I teach is designed to be sustainable, grounded and psychologically informed. That mentorship is also the foundation of my book, BDSM The Blueprint. I want to genuinely thank every single person who has purchased the book so far, 150 copies sold, in 15 different countries. The response has been overwhelming, and every review has been genuinely positive. Seeing people not only read the book but use it, apply it, and grow from it is exactly why I created it. For those who don't know, BDSM The Blueprint is not just a book. It's a working framework. And when you purchase it, you don't just receive the book itself. Anyone who buys BDSM The Blueprint receives over 15 free PDFs to utilise at home. Practical tools, structured exercises, and resources designed to support ongoing growth and training. And those PDFs are not a one-time bonus thing. You will have a never-ending supply of updated and additional resources as they are released. Now, you can purchase the book in two ways. Via my Etsy link, which is available directly on my Instagram, or by simply typing BDSM The Blueprint into the search bar. It is the first book that appears. And during the holiday period, I'm also offering a direct purchase option. If you purchase through me directly during the holidays, the book is only £10 and you still receive the 15 plus free PDFs. All you need to do is send me a message on Instagram and I'll take care of the rest. If you are interested in mentorship, structured submission training, horror, extreme cinema, or the work I do more broadly, you can follow me on Instagram at again Sensory Stowers. That's where everything connects. Thank you for listening to this episode and thank you for supporting my work. And thank you to the main guy and Indy for the movie Good Boy. I loved it and I would definitely watch it again. And thank you to everyone who continues to trust me with their growth. If the main actor and Indy are listening to this episode, hit me up. I would love to do an interview with you, and I can't wait to see what Indy has in store for us next. But until next time, stay safe, everybody. Stay safe, and I will catch you on the next one. And my next episode will be about Auschwitz, Krakow in Poland. So if that's not something you're interested in, you can just bypass that one and move to the next episode, but that will be my next episode. So until then, stay safe, have a good morning, good evening, afternoon, whatever you might be doing, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.